everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Increasing R&D Throughput with a Platform Approach to Instrument Connectivity and Data Management. I'm Christina Jewell of LabRoots, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Today's educational web seminar is presented by LabRoots and brought to you by Benchling. To learn more about our sponsor, visit benchling.com or click on the Benchling logo at the top left of your screen. We encourage you to participate today by submitting as many questions as you want at any time you want during the presentation. To do so, simply type them into the Ask a Question box and click Send. We will answer as many of your questions as we have time for at the end of the presentation. You may also submit any technical issues here as well if you have trouble seeing or hearing the presentation. Now, before we start, I do want to bring your attention to the left side of your screen where you will see a list of resources. For additional information on Benchling Connect, you can find the webpage, product brief, and blog post in a few easy clicks. I would now like to welcome our speaker, Nari Kang, Product Manager, Automation and Analytics at Benchling. For a complete biography on Nari, click on the biography window at the top left of your screen. Nari, welcome. You may now begin your presentation.
Thank you for the introduction. Today, I'm really excited to share an overview of how Benchling Connect helps increase the R&D throughput and accuracy. So let's jump right into it. For those of you who are not familiar, here's a quick snapshot of Benchling. The company was founded in 2012 by two MIT students who worked at the bench and were shocked by the tools the scientists were using. The tool they described as the Stone Age of technology, when so much of the world were already benefiting from modern digital software. They started Benchling with the goal of bringing modern software to modern science. Today, we serve over 1,200 customers and 200,000 scientists around the world, and we are most proud of our above 95% of customer retention rate, which demonstrates that our customers are sticking with us and getting value from Benchling. As our customer base has grown, so have we. We are now over 850 employees across the US and Europe, and 30% of our team is focused on R&D. So we are constantly bringing new features and products to you. In addition, over 200 team members have scientific background and sit in our customer success and services team. Their roles are crucial to help our customers to adapt and be successful with our technology. So now, let me step back and talk about why we believe in all of these matters and how we plan to better serve our customers with Connect. So fundamentally, Connect is to help our customers solve their data problem. I think we all can agree that with the better data, that can lead to the better analysis, and it can lead to better science. However, at the moment, our biggest challenge is to how do we get you better data? So based on our just released Benchling State of Tech in Biopharma report, where we surveyed over 100 of professionals in the industry, R&D data is expected to double in the next year. So some of the key takeaways from this report are, first, the growth of our data is driven by instrument and the high throughput workflow. So talking about the ratio between the instrument and people, it can be as high as 1-to-1. And second, about 60% of our customers connect less than half of their lab instrument. And finally, it's not just about connecting instrument data. It needs to have a good context, so it's easy to understand, leverage, and reuse. And doing all of this at scale is very difficult. And it's only getting worse as this trend continues. So to provide just a couple more data points from our State of Tech in Biopharma report, to highlight this pain point. So first, about 53% of the report says at least 3 out of 5 their organization's instruments are directly connected to some type of software. And also 58% of our report says their company is using more than 100 lab instruments in their day-to-day work. As we continue work with our customers to better understand their challenges for their connected lab, we found that they typically fall into these 3 buckets. First, disconnected instrument. Because the instruments are not connected, transferring the data is manual, which is time-consuming and error-prone. And this leads to our second bucket of the problem, data inaccessibility. Instrument vendors like to make their data proprietary, and on top of that, scientists will also export data in many different ways. So imagine all this data coming in different formats and shapes. It becomes a nightmare for anyone to search, browse, and understand the data across teams or use data at scale. The third bucket of the problem is what we call fragmented analytics. Our scientists like to use the greatest latest tool for their research, which is great. But the problem is that when you copy the data from one tool to another, you lose the data lineage. And as a result, let's say a few years later, you want to file an IND. Your data and chart looks great in the PowerPoint, but you have no idea where this data came from and if you can trust the data. The question we ask ourselves when we decide to build the Connect was, how can we help our customer connect their instrument, harmonize their data, then unify the data management and analytics? And we have a new product to address these issues, Benchling Connect. Connect is a flexible, open data platform built to help increase your R&D throughput and accuracy. Connect helps you with the end-to-end data management, letting you connect, manage, and analyze data from all the lab instruments and data analysis tools you rely on. We know we are not the first one to try to tackle this problem in this industry. In fact, this is not our first time we have tried to tackle this problem. Connect is the evolution of our previous lab automation offering, and we believe the Connect represents a significant step forward from all of those previous attempts. First, we are taking native instrument connection very seriously. So we now have out-of-the-box connector for a growing library of instruments, and we offer generic file converter to cover edge cases and unique data requirements for the instrument that we do not yet support. But we know there are thousands of instruments out there to keep up with, and while many have tried, only few have succeeded, and we knew we had to do things a little differently. We are embarking on our first in our industry, a truly open source library of all the data converter posted in a public GitHub repository, making it possible for others to contribute and customize. We are also using the industry standard allotrope simple model called ASM to reduce the proliferation of the proprietary data model that force you to reinvent the wheel time and again. And because of all this is on the benching platform, we can automatically link your instrument data with the experiment metadata, providing more valuable scientific context. And lastly, we want to make sure the data is useful. So we are thinking about where it goes from here for analysis, integration, or future searchability. Whatever your overarching data strategy is, whether you want to store the data in Benchling or within your own data lake, Connect can help support your needs. So now bringing all this together, instrument connectivity, contextual data management, and scientific analysis, It allows us to offer a unique end-to-end data connectivity workflow, all within Benchling platform. So just to recap, as we mentioned earlier, this is not a new problem. So how are we different? So many vendors can solve some, but we can solve combine all these benefits together. So first of all, we have and will continue work with our ecosystem partners. Connect is about giving customers the additional Benchling native option. This means simplicity. And it is simple in multiple ways: setup, manage, and user experience. And second, many customers told us that the pain point is to associate the scientific context with the instrument data, and we are uniquely positioned to automate that linkage. And third, customers also share with us that their data is the most valuable asset, and they worry about the vendor locked in. And this is why we follow the open industry standard and open source our data converters. And lastly, many customers share with us that they're investing in their own data lake and their warehouses. And they want to use that as the center of the data strategy. In a way, Connect can serve as a data lake for instrument data, but we are also making it easier for sync the data into your own data lake. So before we get into some of the product demo, I also want to touch up on this Allotrope Foundation and data harmonization work that we are doing. We made this key strategic decision early on when we designed Connect. There are a few other instrument consortium out there trying to solve this data standardization problem. We chose to work with Allotrope because first, it is backed by major pharmaceutical and industrial companies, including many of our customers. And second, it is used by key instrument makers such as Thermo Fisher, Agilent, Waters. And it also offers a standardized data model and ontology that we can leverage. And it's also built on the open JSON-based model, which is a lighter weight and like format that we can follow on. And then finally, this ASM is open source. So you can go into the Allotrope ASM GitHub repository to look up what exactly a data model for a certain instrument type is, such as cell counter or chromatography. This is very important point because if you save your data, you want to know what the shape of data is, how it's being saved and processed in Benchling. You don't have to come ask us. You can actually just go directly to Allotrope and look it up for yourself. This solves the vendor lock-in problem for our customers. And once again, we understand that data is the most important asset. We want to make sure that you have a full access and transparency into how we standardize your data. So using this open source approach, we have built this open source repository of our data converter based on ASM to speed up the industry adoption of the data standards. So why this is so exciting? The first open source data converter code repository by a major vendor. And it is also developed in collaboration with our Allotrope Foundation and its pharmaceutical partners. And it has a full visibility and access and the right to adopt the code of the customer's own use cases. And we are very much looking forward for your contribution. So if you actually scan this QR code, it will direct you to our GitHub repository where you can check it out, our converter that we have published so far, and help you to provide the guidance for how you get it started to contribute to our repository. So now, one more thing we want to highlight with everyone here is that what we show so far is really just the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much more. Today, we support about 14 instruments across 8 different categories of instruments where Allotrope standard is in place to normalize the data automatically ingest that into Benchling. And this includes a combination of our API and file-based adapter. We have more on the way, like spectral, photometer, and fax, Empower, and so on. If you have an instrument that we do not yet support, you don't have to wait. You can actually deploy our generic bidirectional file watcher to send instruction down to your server or pick up data from an instrument. Then once the data gets moved over to Benchling, we store all this file as an immutable object and capture write metadata. And we also provide this native data transformation tooling, so you can shape your raw data into regional table much more easily. We have some advancement tool on the way, like data preview, so you can see, edit as you're applying some of the changes to build your data pipeline for a new instrument as you are making them. This tool can also be used to support the data pipeline transformation for the instrument data that we do not yet support. And also coming soon, we are already making a full data management system under the hood. So we are working to make it easy for our customers to browse, search, use, and add those additional metadata to all those assets easily within Benchling UI, starting in the global search view. And then finally, on the analysis, today we can already take the instrument data that we connect through our pipeline and API framework. For our customer who use JUMP, you can push the data out to JUMP and perform your analysis, then push the data automatically back to Benchling. We built this built-in JUMP plugin you can download and use within your JUMP software. And we also offer our customer the same backend API framework to connect your favorite analysis tool within Benchling. We are working to add additional native analysis functionality within Benchling to chart, transform, analyze the data. We will have more information to share in coming quarter. So now let's take a really deep dive and look into this, how does Benchling Connect look like within product itself. And then this is one final slide, just to share some story before we get into the product demo. So I want to talk a bit more about some of the early customers we have worked with leading up to now, and then share some key learnings with you. This is one mid-sized biopharma company we have working closely with, who helped us to better understand their end-to-end workflow and how Benchling Connect can help them. So this is roughly how their process would look like. First, they create a sample plan and apply map in Benchling. They then create this on top of the Gen 5 software for their plate reader. And they didn't want to actually use the Gen 5 for their analysis. So at the end of run, they manually copy paste the data from Gen 5 to another Softmax Pro software for their analysis. Then last, they copy the analyze the data with all the file back into Benchling manually. The important learning that we took away from this whole process is that Benchling Connect can help streamline the scientific workflow. But at the end of the whole process, this customer had this QC prep go in and spend 1 or 2 hours per experiment just to manually going through line by line every single wall to make sure the data was copied, matched to the result they end up being in Benchling. And this was a great learning for us, that it wasn't just about simplifying the scientific workflow. It's all about helping to automate a lot of time that we spend in quality control, validating the data is correct. So how does this Connect solve these challenges? So instead of showing more slides, let's take a look how this all works in action. So for this demo, I'm going to walk you through how we utilize Benchling Connect with one of our off-the-shelf connector, Gen 5, Agilion Gen 5, and perform plate-based plasmid prep QC. So to get started, we have created these plasmid prep entities, and we also have created this 96-well plate to run our plasmid prep on. And we recorded where those plasmid prep were loaded inside of this plate. And we are going to utilize sub-template here that lets us to selectively add in templatized protocol we want to follow. In this case, we are going to select Gen 5 Plasmid Prep QC, no plate creation, as we already designed one. This template automatically inserts a run to perform our QC with Gen 5. So now that we have run, we are going to select instrument that we want to run our plate on. And we are going to also select the plate that we just pre-designed. So once we have our run created, we are now ready to create an instruction file and send it down to our Gen 5 instrument server from Benchling. So we have this folder that directly interfaces with Gen 5 software on the left side. And then you will see now there is a file in the folder. So after plate has been run, we are going to now look at the folder where Gen 5 plate reader outputs those files. And then going back to Benchling, we are going to retrieve the data. So we automatically load this instrument output file into Benchling. So you can see the mirror file from the instrument server. We then automatically transform the raw data into our true standardized format. So you don't have to handle manual or custom parsing. It also provides this nice preview of the data before the data ingestion. So when you select the upload, it processes and injects the data into notebook and relates all the experiment content with the run. So when it completes, you will see now the QC result associated with our plasmid prep and records all the well that was actually run on. And in addition, these records are directly associated with the sample themselves. So if you were to click into our plasmid prep and then view the result tab, you can see the result QC associated with all the other previous results of the history. So that was it for our first demo. So now let's take a deeper dive on how long it takes to deploy Benchling Connect, because we know the complex and cumbersome deployment is one of the biggest challenges our customers have. So you might wonder, how long does it take to set up and deploy instrument integration? 6 months, multi-year? Is it really worth for the investment? Our team has been focusing and trying to simplify this whole deployment process. So if you were to do this whole step by yourself, it takes about develop your own file pickup services, build your own custom parser, set up data, some place to store your data and then manage those data. And then if you want to standardize using Allotrope, then you have to transform those data to Allotrope. And you will have to then build your own integration pipeline to actually manage and kick off this script. And if you were to send this data to Benchling, you will then have to use our API event system to build integration on top of it. Then finally, set up run result schema to actually manage this data all within Benchling. But then now, if you look at the right-hand side, Benchling Connect requires 2 simple deployment steps. So first is setting up the gateway that sits on local PC next to instrument. And second, deploying this connector to automatically transform data into Allotrope standard format and load them onto Benchling. So now let's take a look at the demo of installing the gateway first. So we have this window installer that you can double click to deploy the connector. So the first, you're going to give a name of the gateway, then hit next. And then you can select a token file that verifies your tenant and permission to deploy the installer. So now hit next. So in the background here, so now the token file is verifying the connection to the target benchling tenant, where you have a permission to deploy this connector and this installer to set up the connection between your local server and Benchling. So this is now processing. And yeah, it's compiling all the code for the connector deployed to the local server. And that's it. As you can see here, we are trying to make this deployment process as simple as possible for our customer. So we work with several customers with different environment setups, such as proxies or proprietary open. And we are now building that into this installer you saw to really shortcut many of those options and make it simple for our customer. So the last quick demo is to set up the connection and deploying our connector. So now that we have a benchling gateway installed, it allows the benchling to communicate to those instrument software. So it is as simple as going to this plus button and creating new connection. So in this case, we select the Gen 5 for which we want to deploy the connector. And then we need to name this connection and select the gateway we just installed. And then we need to give a path like directory or info file path, which is the place where software picks up the file from that you are transferring back and forth. And hit create next, and that's it. This is how our connector gets deployed. So again, we're really trying to shortcut and simplify the process of deploying new instrument integration to make it easy as possible, where it doesn't take a month to go through a custom integration with a custom file format. It just happens as part of our off-the-shelf connector. Benchling Connect, the focus of this webinar, help our customers to automate and manage R&D data across the instrument and the systems. But Connect is one of the offerings with a broader Benchling R&D cloud. The Benchling R&D Cloud combines our core software platform capabilities along with our scientific accelerator into targeted solution designed to support your science. Benchling by research for your research work, and benchling in vivo to simplify in-life studies, and benchling by processing for streamlining process development. And then Connect is a build to support all these unique scientist work on top of it. So to summarize our Connect webinar with a few key takeaways. First, simple. It is easy to connect, and then it's seamless, effortless to use our Connect ecosystems. And the second, it supports the native scientific workflow integration with the end-to-end metadata capture, data management, and analysis. And then finally, it is open platform and open standard to create better and more fair data. So now I'd like to open up for the questions, and thanks everyone.
Thank you, Nari, for your informative presentation. So yes, we will now start our live Q&A portion of our webinar. To our audience, if you haven't already done so, please submit any questions you would like me to ask, and we will answer as many of your questions as we have time for. So Nari, we have some great questions already coming in, so I'm just going to dive in. Let's start with this one. What is the industry perspective on allotrope? Has it been successful, or has it faced difficulty getting some traction?
Yeah, that's a great first question. So as I mentioned in the presentation earlier, allotrope is backed by many of our major pharma companies and industry vendors, such as Thermo Fisher, Agilent, Waters, and so forth. And many of our customers know and have already supported allotrope. And historically, allotrope has been focusing on their own proprietary data model which made it a little difficult for customer and us to like adapt. But then very recently, Allotrope introduced this very simple model called Allotrope Simple Model, ASM. It's a simple like JSON format and a standardized format for everyone to understand, easily adapt. So this is much more user-friendly and easier for everyone to adapt. So that definitely attract many of our customers, including us.
Now, Nari, would it be possible to trigger further transformations? For example, aggregation, integration, qualification of the data after it has been converted into ASM or allotrope standard model?
Yeah, also a great question. So we have a couple different ways to for us to help you with that scenario. The first one is we do have a built-in point and click transformation tooling that you can configure on top of those data. So that is something we offer within our platform. And then some of our customers know this as the previous lab automation run offering. So that's something you can leverage on top of it. And second, if you have your own like complex analysis to perform on top of it, so we do have our ways for leveraging our developer platform tool to develop any custom code block that can like use to push and pull data between your apps and Benchling. And then so you can, once again, leverage those developer tooling to handle any data processing or post analysis at the end. And lastly, I want to mention is, while we want to support those point and click and also custom analysis, we also want to work towards somewhere in the middle, like built-in analysis within Benchling platform. So one thing I mentioned in the presentation earlier was about the JUMP, JMP. So those are our first built-in analysis tool, pre-built-in plugins, so you can, download those plugins from Benchling and then being able to interact with your own JUMP and then receiving or sending data between your JUMP and Benchling as well. And we will continue building more on those built-in analysis down the road.
Thank you, Nari. And we have a few variations of this question coming in. And so if you can really elaborate on this, can data and metadata only be accessed through Benchling, or will there be an API for searching and retrieving data?
Yeah. So as of right now, like we have started with the how you can access those data within Benchling itself. But then, yeah, we definitely hear this question more and more from our customer. Can I access those data programmatically? Like, what if I want to get those connect data, being able to plug into my built-in homegrown analysis? So yes, we are actually actively working to build these APIs tooling for searching, listing your data that you're getting from the Connect. So that's going to enable you to like search, retrieve data set, and enable your program pipeline development down the road.
Thank you. I think that's good news for some of our attendees here that are asking and wanting this information. Another few questions coming in about what's ahead in the future. Are you publishing a roadmap? Is there another way of letting our users and attendees know what is coming out for integrations?
Yeah. So so I think I had one slide for what is available right now. And then we do have the second batch, third batch adapter we are building in upcoming quarter. So for the audience here, for our existing customer, the best way to get those lists and then get more information on what's upcoming, definitely reach out to your account executive or customer success manager. And then for our prospect, wants to learn more about it, we do have a dedicated page called benchling.com/contact-us. So definitely reach out to us. We can share more about what is available today and then what's upcoming in the near term and longer term.
Great, Nari. Thank you. Exciting stuff coming in the future. Now, speaking of today, right now, how can Connect work with multiple instruments in one experiment? For example, liquid handler, two-plate reader.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if we cut from our product demo earlier. So we have this interface called Run that works with the Benchling Connect itself. So you can definitely configure those lab automation run itself to support multiple instruments. So for example, you could have one connection that works with one server. The server may have multiple instrument instance. So yeah, you can definitely use one Connect to support those multi-types. And you can also configure the run to say, same instrument, but I want to perform different assay. Then you can also configure different, what we call result schema. So you can keep, once again, like one run and multiple result schema to manage your one instrument, but yielding multiple assays.
Thank you, Nari. And while we're on the topic of instruments, I'm going to have a two-part question here, combine a few questions from our attendees. Is there a list of instruments that are already validated? And additionally to that, is there a list of connected instruments?
Yeah, so I will cover the first part. So list of instruments that are already validated. Yeah, great question. So what we launched back in October is definitely for the non-validated adapter. And then as of right now, we are actively validating for the first set of the 12 adapter we have published. So for Benchling, we do have two different tenants, validated and non-validated. So we are working to enable our validated customers to use early next year. So it's not just validating the adapter that's available in the validated tenant. It's also, we are also working to see what other validation testing offering that we can also provide to you. So we can definitely share more detail if you're interested. So definitely let us know.
Very good. Thank you, Nari. Do you have any final comments for our audience?
Final comment on, yeah. So we, for our current customers today, we have this great site called Benchling Community, where we actually learn, we are within our customers learn and share from each other. And then me personally actively joining those community to get your feedback and feedback to influence some of our prioritization of the Connect as well. So definitely look forward to seeing you more. And for our prospects today, yeah, definitely please reach out to us on benchling.com/connect-us. So I'd love to hear more from your interests, and then yeah, how we can better support your instrument end-to-end connectivity and data management using our Connect platform. So yeah, looking forward to hearing more from you.
And Nari, thank you again for your time today. I do want to thank LabRoots and our sponsor Benchling for underwriting today's webcast. And before we go, I do want to thank our audience for joining us today and for their interesting questions. I do want to remind everyone that any questions submitted during the on-demand period and any of the questions we did not get to today that maybe require a lengthier response, they will be addressed by Nari via the contact information you provided at the time of registration. Don't forget to check out the resources on the left side of your screen. Remember that webpage, the product brief, and the blog post in just a few easy clicks. Today's live webcast can be viewed on demand, and LabRoots will alert you via email when it's available for replay. We encourage you to share that with your colleagues who may have missed today's live event. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. Nari, thank you again for your time today. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.